Hi, this is Carson with Troy, and I have with me Joseph, DJ Dimension Mercado.
All
Uh,
right.
Joseph, thank you for getting on with me today. And go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how you doing, everybody out there? It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Joseph, DJ Dimension Mercado. I've been originally an electronic music artist since the early '90s, coming out of New York City. Through the journey, I've made a career out of it, and I've had awesome experiences as an artist, as a record label owner, and in the last 5 years, jumped into writing my own story and creating a comic book out of it, and that's based on a portion of my life, and I took the opportunity to make it bigger than me and make it a fun community project. That's really it's been an awesome experience, really awesome experience.
Awesome. And that's, the main part why you're here. You wrote that comic based on your life. So what was the genesis? Like, why did you decide to write this?
A couple years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, I was in my late 40s and going through like I would say a change in my artist identity, just as myself as a person. Like in 2003 when I was at the peak of that portion of my career as becoming an electronic music, dance music, an unknown artist. That was on the cutting edge. A lot of things. I suffered a near tragic accident while pursuing my DJ goals, where I could have lost my life.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I was on MTV. I was on Telemundo. We started doing DJ live streaming in about 2001, and then became a popular CD series where it led to a lot of opportunities. And then all of a sudden, that stopped for me. I was a young man in my 30s, and I grew up different, in Harlem and in the South Bronx, where emotions and things like that weren't really like taught. Like well-being wasn't really taught to us. So that came out in my life and in my mind and stuff, and through art, I figured out a way through meditation, support, my own type of spirituality, and putting it together with community, creating something that kind of talks about, that I'm able to create a platform where I can talk about um, the hardships, but also celebrate with youth, with platforms like this, celebrate that we're actually we're still doing it as art, and we're able to collaborate and make like really cool stuff together. So that's part of the journey of the book.
Hmm. And you
Hmm.
have two issues out right now.
Yep, two issues. Yep,
What are some of the challenges that you had? You have them behind you there.
yep, two issues. Um,
I mean,
you know what?
you're a DJ, so it's kind of out of your wheelhouse. But you've
Hmm.
created, two issues of a comic. Yeah. So what challenges did you have as you're going about doing that?
I can't really say there's been too many challenges. I think there's been like a lot of learning curves because I've been really open to it, and I really wanted to respect the comic book world, also the writing world, making sure that things line up. Like it started out, basically a story about my life, about my experience, but I made it into a sci-fi thing. So how can I make that fun and still um, keep it um, acceptable to all different like ages and cultures, into something that's open ended, into it can be um, absorbed by basically anybody, in a positive way. So I think that's the biggest thing, like being sure that it works like with the vision of keeping something that's positive in motion, and not kind of, I think, selling out, maybe, like, because in dance music culture, a lot of things are drug culture, and sex culture, and basically all over. It's in all the music, and a lot of things that we see. So how can we keep that? That's been the biggest challenge in keeping that you know cool, so then I can show it to anybody. It's a fun thing that I can be like, hey, like, this is something that's that's a joy. It's not going to make you think too hard, and the other way in something that's not acceptable and things like that.
So why did you choose the comic form instead of, like a novelization or a screenplay or something like that?
To be honest, like through a lot of meditation and then writing, it came out to me as far as that's part of my culture, like growing up with Spider-Man and the Hulk and, just everything, and everything that it's come out to now, because back in the day it was just a comic book, and we would sit down as kids and really, really love, like that book and, our imagination will go crazy. So giving that to, giving that opportunity to the youth to be able to be, a 5 or 6 year old or a 10-year-old can sit down with it and be like, and their imagination can go crazy, as far as digging into the what's happening in the book, you know.
Nice. And it does have a very visual appeal to it. Your artwork is amazing. How'd you go about finding an artist to share your
Uh,
vision?
Okay, yeah. With this, it's actually been kind of fortunate. Like I'm really expressive when I speak, and I have things outlined. As far as when I meet an artist, aside from the first time, it was more kind of like a learning experience. It took a little longer than expected. Actually, the first book took about 3 years to make, and from idea to going back and forth with ideas, and then I didn't really know too much about like the technology process. As far as like if an artist is able to work digitally or just work with pen or with colors, how they can affect the workflow and things like that. So meeting different artists and putting out my vision, being open, actually really being open to what I receive. Like have an idea, but be like wow, this looks amazing and encourage the process, even if we're changing it along the way, being open to the styles and what comes up, if it's at least, if we're in the ballpark, if we're in the same wavelength together, it becomes a really fun experience. So basically like reaching out, social media, like I would identify artists and, wow, I like this and, maybe start a talking relationship and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Maybe we can do a guest spot, or if it's something that I see potential in, like with the current artists that I'm working with now, Creation 80. We work something out to where we have we have 3 or 4 books ready to go. We have the story lined up, and we're like, hey, okay, after Transfusion, we're taking a break, and now we're working on number 3. And the vision is that to have number 4 books, and then I'll see what happens.
So it took 3 years to come out with the first book. What was the process like? Because writing a comic book is very visual with very little conversation and words and stuff. And
Mhm.
and you can see behind me, I have a lot of novels, and when you're writing a novel, you have to explain everything. But it's a different format where it's just visual, but you have to convey like the same amount of stuff. Like, what was the process
Right.
between you and your artist to balance that?
It was interesting because it was a lot of surprise because I would give out an idea, and describe it, say in an outline or in a storybook. So when I write the story, it could be a storybook, like if we were to condense it and make it into a kid's book or something like that. The idea is that you can sit down and read it to a kid. The details in the pictures, it's basically uh, was the difference. So I in my style of comic book, I like big words and a page that tells maybe 5 or 6 stories within, as opposed to having like the traditional blocks and a lot of bubbles and things like that. So deciding that it would be like kind of based on a storybook, kind of it helped me to keep it simple. And so I I'll narrate the story, then I have fun creating the different characters and becoming the voices for them and then putting that into the style of first getting it from the artist and then um, I do like the post production. I put the letters and the effects on there, so bringing it to life and then taking that next level and making it like a believable character. So it's a long process, you know, but it's kind of instinctual to tell you the truth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. So you said something interesting. You get the art back and then you put the words in um for the page
Yes.
as you're
Yep.
creating it.
Right.
So for anybody that wants to do this, what kind of
Mhm.
software do you use?
Mainly using Photoshop, and that's been my go-to for years. And I have a wonderful assistant that helps me as well. Like, say I'll have an idea and I'll sketch it out because I'm not really like that good, and then she will help me. Fee will help me take it to the next level, and at least keep it to where it's honest to what we're translating, but at the same time add that colorful, like whatever the elements are to make the pages like as colorful as possible. So it's, yeah, it's a step-by-step process. Is maybe about, honestly, maybe about 5 or 6 layers, from getting starting out on Google Documents, writing the story, to meeting the artist every week, or every couple of weeks, and having that good contact in the email, and then getting the art back and forth, and then having that good rapport with one another, where it's like we're all artists, so like being encouraging along the way, and like, wow, this is really really dope. Now let's add more fire to it, and then once the team sees that, it becomes like clockwork. It's like really really cool, really nice.
Nice. So do you work from an outline, or are you able to, do you already know what's going on so you don't have to do that? How do you work?
Uh, yeah, well, what the outline is, I'll create the story, have an outline in say in Google Docs, and where the whole story is there. So say it's written out like a book, and then from there, I don't swamp the artist with too much, just like segments at a time, and then say, hey, we're going to work on uh, say the next 4 pages, and then so then the whole flow, and then um, so say like the next book, uh, the same artist, we're gonna deliver a whole different like upfront style, like more the characters are more, coming out in your face kind of thing. So um, now we have that in motion to where all right, cool, we did this style, and now we're transforming it into where it can be anything you want it to be, but it is based on the outline, to answer your question. So we do have a process where we go back and forth, and we keep it minimal. It's at least 2 or 3 times, and then agree, and then we take it to the next level, and then begin the post production part, and then after the post production, um, you get it ready for print. So everything is outlined, um, book size, and then we send it to the printer, and that becomes a whole new process, and it's a whole new relationship. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that too, in case anybody wants
Mhm.
to independently publish their own book. What
Okay.
How did you go about finding a printer to do it?
Uh, um, it took me a little while, since I was a little, I think, apprehensive, or I don't know if that's the right word, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I found services online. So I jumped around for a couple services. One started out a little bit more expensive, and the book was nice, but I wanted a little bit more comic book feel. So then I moved to another um, uh, printer online, and it was a little bit better, and um, and then I finally found someone in town here in Phoenix, Ready Print Comics in Tempe, and that's been the best option because I've been able to go there, do like a hands-on thing. So I would say, if you don't know what you're doing, um, uh, working with people that kind of do know, and then being open to the process, and you would, so say like the first book took 3 years, the second book took September, and we were done by Fan Fusion about less than 9 months. So, and we can crank out the next book like if we really wanted to in 6 months, but we're not in a rush. Like the process is now there, to where it can become a little bit more. Um, you can push them out a little bit more if you want to, but I'd rather take my time and allow the evolution of the art, and the feeling of the story to grow, and allow people to find it too.
Right.
Yeah.
So talking about allowing people to find it, what have you been able to do to, I mean, you were at Phoenix Fan Fusion, what else
Hmm.
have you been able to do to market your book and be able to find readers who love it?
Okay. Cool. I overall I push it from my website on ndmdigital.com. I've shied away from online stores too much, and and even comic stores at first. What I've been doing is, I'll create like curated events, whether I DJ or sometimes I'll just host it, and then I'll have other entertainment, say other DJs, or or different style of music altogether, and I feature some of the artists. So I do that here and locally in Phoenix with some of the like boutique kind of shops like Grand Avenue Records, Trill Shop, a few local businesses where I'm able to showcase it, and then people can they can check out the product. Another thing that I do is, I collaborate with the Boys and Girls Club, to where I use the book as a wellness approach, and I bring it direct to the kids, and I use turntables. I use the process of creating comic books, by encouraging collaboration, and I'm not a counselor or anything like that, but I, in a roundabout way, say, hey, if we're going through hard things in our life, or if we want things to get better, and let's find ways to collaborate. If somebody knows how to write the story, and so if somebody knows how to do this, so I do that in collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club, here on a weekly basis, to where it's so that's kind of like a grassroots approach, I guess. I really wanted to where, in all honesty, like, artists beforehand in any genre, but I know in electronic music industry, like Avicii, and then more recently like Eric Murillo, they passed away, because they weren't able to find a way to take care of themselves. And you know, I was an artist, and I still am, but that was on that forefront, and I want to take the responsibility to people and to the youth, to be like, hey, like we can push through by finding our inner superheroes, by being creators ourselves, and connecting with others. And so, that's my main approach, by delivering it to the people that they really want it. Like I can sell the books like quick, but I take my time. I'll curate an event, and even if I sell 5 books that day or no books, like, but if somebody says, hey, that's a cool story, and then I can see that they went to the website and they watched the documentary, or they read a little bit more about the comic, or it became something later, naturally, then that really makes me happy, in the progress of just creating something that's unique to me.
Hmm.
Mhm.
No, I like what you're saying, reaching out to not only the businesses, but the Boys and Girls Club, because we live in a turmoil world right now. Like it's filled with
Yeah.
turmoil, and being able to help anybody out, whether it's kids or the youth counselors, or whoever, teachers, um, and even parents, that stuff is valuable. And I didn't get a chance to read out through all your book at Phoenix Fan Fusion, but it had some good stuff in there, and it's
Thank
about
you.
it's about you know uh you're featured in it, but it's DJ turning into Mega Man,
Hmm.
correct? And to save the
Yep.
ghetto soul for the kids, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So Mega Men is, a music group. Back in the day, in the '90s, we were DJ on 6 turntables, and then we got the opportunity to DJ at the anime rave at Fan Fusion, and I'm in my 50s now, so to be able to have that as kind of like like a story come true, because in the book, Ghetto Soul is a form of electronic music, and we get these forces from the evil EDM empire, and that try to stop that from having, from us having a good time. So we have to, so it's kind of like in real life, we have all these elements, real life, people go through hardships, there's so much, depression, anxiety, and people just going through things that we would never know about, and just, I've seen it at the Boys and Girls Club, like giving, the kids holding a book or holding a little postcard of the characters, and I see it like it's Spider-Man, or Superman, in the when they needed him, like during the Great Depression or something like that. It was like that peak kind of superhero, and it might not be that, but that's the kind of feeling that it gives to me, and that's what enables me to keep it going, and to you know just to make it like amazing in any experience that we get into. You know,
That's awesome.
thank
Um,
you.
so you said that superheroes were part of your culture growing up with comic books. Is that the reason why you chose superheroes? Because it gave you such a feeling in the youth, in your youth, and so you wanted to pass that on?
Oh yeah, yeah. Across time, like I remember, I had all the comic books, and then I always used to love the Marvel team ups, and there were bigger books, and I would love to see, wow, like what if Hulk fought Iron Man, which was different back then, and and then as my kids got older, um, stuff like, say, the Power Rangers, like it was exciting to watch, like late '90s, and the excitement that you waited for the buildup of your hero to defeat the dragon, or whatever it was, in its simplicity. I know there's a lot of different forms, but like those types of you know comic books and heroes are like so simple. You just waited for that moment. So that was, that's kind of like the main inspiration behind it. Also wrestling too, old old school wrestling, like the '80s stuff. Like the Ultimate Warrior and stuff. Yeah.
Yep,
Who do you
Ultimate
got up
Warrior's
there?
there.
Okay, nice. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of wrestling, like a lot of boasting, stuff like that, and like a lot of stuff that we grew up with, and the simple reminders, because that's how I DJ too. There's not really anything new. We just borrow from the cultures and what we're doing it, and and even as a veteran DJ now, I borrow from the youth, to invite the colors into it, and the energy, and not be like, hey, it's only in this one way. It's a universal thing that we could all enjoy. You know.
No, and I think professional wrestling is severely underrated as a story form art.
Oh
You
man,
have good guys and bad guys, and they fight it out, and they duke it out, and um, it all comes to a head at a pay-per-view event, and you know I
right?
I, I think it's severely undervalued.
Yeah, yeah. So if you look back, especially try reading number two, it's kind of based on like the quick motion of wrestling. So say like Hogan and the Warrior were in a tag team match, and the Wild Samoans were getting ready to win, and and Warrior hits Hogan on the head with the chair. We're like, what's going on here? It kind of thing, but it kept us captivated, and it was, you know, like you said, very, very underrated, and it's embedded in our culture, like for years, and it's a very amazing format, if somebody looks into that, so I'm cool. It's cool that we connected on that, because it's hard to see those characters back there, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, so I was a big WCW fan, so I got Sting and Lex Luger and the Ultimate, and
Okay,
I
nice.
had the Ultimate Warrior over here because they were, Sting and Warrior started together as the Blade Runners.
Right.
And
Yep.
but going back to that, even if you watch a match, you can tell it's a story arc. It ebbs and flows. You can always
Hmm.
tell when at the darkest, when Hulk Hogan or even the Ultimate Warrior were at the darkest, you knew that you're going to get the chills because they were going to get hit or whatever, and they're just going to snap up, and Oakman
Right,
will
right.
shake his head and stomp around, or Ultimate Warrior will shake the ropes. Um, and you get that sense of excitement. And so as people who are listening to this and who want to tell stories, find a way, whether you're doing a comic book like yourself, or writing a novel, or even in a piece of art, find a way. This is Unsolicited Advice by Carson
Hmm.
Lacey. To find that emotion, to have that moment in a story, and people will keep coming back.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You know, that 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 Ultimate Warrior moment. You know, the Hulk when, you know, the TV Hulk when Dr. Banner got, you know, thrown over the bar, and he's like, "Hey, dudes, like, I really asked you not to make me angry," you know, and then you know, and you know, you did it anyway, and but we were waiting for that moment, you know, or when the Power Rangers, you know, when it was time to power up, or you know, when the Mega Men DJ Dimension and Big Will Rosario, when it's time to get Mega, you know, it's kind of the same thing. So, you know, that's the fun part about all that, you know.
No, it's exciting. And if you haven't had a chance to watch professional wrestling, or you thought it was silly or whatever, find some of the old school. Even nowadays, there's some good stories and some good lessons that you can learn just watching a match with the ebb and flow of the story.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, lots of fun, lots of fun.
So is there any advice that you'd like to give for anybody that would, is thinking, hey, I want to do a comic. I don't feel like I can write a novel. But I have this story in my head that I want to get out. Do you have any advice to them?
Advice would be, um, like, to start it and do it. You know, like these days, especially, you know, now there are so many tools online, to where even if you're not like I started out inward, like I was like, hey, you know, this is, I want to work on this, you know, and I shared the idea with somebody else, but it wasn't like, you know, like, hey, I'm Todd McFarlane, I'm going to do this tomorrow, and you know, and you know, so it's you know, like, it's, we're all different, you know. So if you do have a big platform, you're like, I know there's a lot of different ways. There crowdfunding sources. There's community. There's, you know, just getting it started. You know, it'll take some work. It'll take some time, but you know, it's it's possible. You know, whether you have a story, and you know, and you're not the best artist, you know, find somebody that's going to be able to work with you, or find a way to, you know, put the art on it, you know, to create a cover, you know. And what I'm trying to say is that there's plenty of ways to make it happen, you know. And you know, just a lot of ways to educate ourselves, and you know, there is support out there to make your dreams grow. So, you know, just stepping into it, and having the courage, and not really worrying about what anybody says too much. You know, take that and be like, hey, okay, cool, you know, and take the part that might work for you and try it out. And if it does, it doesn't, you know. And if and it might work, you know, but having that gratitude along the way as well, you know, say, you know, always coming back and be like, hey, buddy, you know, I appreciated, you know, that thought, you know, and this is, you know, what came out of that, you know, and thank you, you know, kind of thing, you know, building blocks along the way.
That's great advice. And I've noticed one key thing that you've said over and over is communication. Like you constantly said that communication with the key people that you work with. But not only that, like it seems like you've had a network of people that you've been able to reach out to as well. So going back to have courage, like for those people who are kind of inward, um, I think that this world that we live in is smaller than you think, and people are
Hmm.
willing to help and be able to guide you.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot, and there's lots of help out there, you know. And even if it's not, you know, one person the whole time, but you can get enough information where, if we speak to someone directly, you know, I'll send out an email. Sometimes I'll send out an email just for information purposes. Like, I know this is totally wrong, and this, you know, and I'm going to get a response, you know, at least with a different direction, you know. And you know, being open to, you know, to all the different forms of how we can make our art better, you know, and get it out there, and you know, and not losing hope, you know, like you know, say, hey, you know, I want to sell 100 books, you know, and we only sell 2 books, you know, like keep it going, finding a way to get creative to, you know, yeah, get it to the person that's going to appreciate it, you know.
One thing I've noticed as we've been talking is you've been very open to failure. Like you're not afraid if something doesn't work. You're willing to try something else to make it work. It
Hmm.
seems like you have a goal and you're not going to stop until you achieve that. And I really find that very valuable, and I know people will as well. Like you continue to go.
Yeah, yeah, we got to keep going. The way I see it, you know, the old toy, it was like the little, say it was like a little monkey, a little drummer boy, and you wind him up, and then when he got into the wall, he kept going, you know. You know, so we just got to keep our winder moving, and then you know it eventually we'll get out of that corner, and then we'll be like, oh wow, you know, this is wasn't so bad after all, and you know, at least getting that experience, you know, it's, you know, it could be something massive, you know, or it could be something that is just part of your journey, you know, for your life. You know, I learned that from in the '90s. I would make my mixtapes and take them to the record stores, and I, you know, I was dance music, and I put them up in stores that had hip hop, you know, and things like that. And then when I became a label owner from vinyl, I would take those vinyls directly to the stores in New York and be like, hey, 5 copies. So I, you know, and I never, if I would have worried about somebody saying, hey, you know, this sucks or it's not, you know, like, you know, the best record ever, you know, I would never do it, you know. So, you know, I think I've had practice through the years in different forms with different formats. You know, I've created CDs, I've pressed up vinyls, I've had vinyl deals, you know, I've all different forms. So this form, uh, because it's so new to me and it's a comic book, it's like I'm really open to it. You know, it's like an amazing, the best form that I've ever seen. You know, as far as like my creativity, um, not in an ego sense, like in a happiness sense, where, you know, like the colors and stuff, that for the first time I'm like, wow, I had this in my mind, and through creating a process now, it's actually like on a piece of paper, and you know, and it can last, you know, for forever, you know,
Mhm.
for, you know, so it makes it fun in that way.
So being a DJ and the skills that you did for that has sounds like it really helped you along your way for this new endeavor.
Yeah, yeah, it has. Yep, just being open to the whole thing, you know, just DJing in a bar and somebody's and you think you're doing good, and you know, and somebody leaves you a note, hey, you know, your music sucks. You know, you're like, you know, the whole place, somebody took the time to write you a note and be like, you know, so you're like, wow, okay, well, it's either that, or you know, or you keep going, you know. And I held on to that note too. I keep it as, you know, a little reminder of the good times, you know. Yeah.
Well, stuff like that can keep you humble. I noticed along the way you said to be grateful and be have gratitude.
Hmm.
You know, for what you're doing and stuff like that. It doesn't matter how big you get. Like you can look at something like that, like yeah, like I came a long way. Like I got to remember and be grateful for what I have now.
Yeah. Yep. Be very grateful, and keep on giving, you know, find a way, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot, but you know, there's always a way that we can connect, and you know, and reciprocate, you know, and keep the energy going, you know.
Perfect. So you hit Phoenix Fan Fusion. Are you going to any other conventions this year? Conventions?
No, no, not that was kind of a lot of things fell into place with that, you know, and we got a lot of community support. It was a big push. It was a very big push, and we even got a grant from the city of Phoenix, so I was able to bring my music partner William Rosario. We were able to get the um, create a budget and stuff to have him come over, and just reaching out. We got major support from Fan Fusion. We got tickets for the Boys and Girls Club for them to come for free. We got the performance. So it was a big community push. So right now, like, to be honest, I'm not really sure what's happening next. You know, as far as I took the week off to really, like, you know, to reflect, and then, you know, you can get back on the wagon, and you know, and you know, and have all cylinders going. But then sometimes when things happen, like in, I would say, like in a wholesome way like that, where a lot of things fell into place, you know, you got to take it, you know, like, okay, cool. Now, so now how can we make the most out of this? So continuing our relationship in the Boys and Girls Club, and bringing the comic book slash DJ slash, I call it Creative Dimensions, the Creative Dimensions program, to other Boys and Girls Clubs in Phoenix, Arizona. Um, Reached out to a couple other conventions and anime festivals, but we would love that, if it works out. But the main goal is to keep pushing like positivity in the community, and then everything else works like in a really mega way, and I proved that with the fan fusion, because that was the formula. It started with community. I didn't do it myself. It happened with everybody. So, making sure that we stick to that.
Perfect. Well, I hope they invite you back
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Well,
Yeah.
Joe, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Any social media, any shout outs you want to do?
Okay, cool. Yeah. Shout outs to everyone involved, all the artists, Creation 80, William Rosario, to Fee, that helps with the graphic design, to everyone at the Boys and Girls Club, and to just and to all the artists in the original book, Alvin Morales, Justin Bua, Art Soldier 77, Andrew It, and also in the second book we have Vod Lines, who was featured on an Image Comics, and he has an awesome line of his own. So all the artists, and and whoever's like flowing with us, like behind the scenes, everybody that's watching, and that we don't know about. Thank you, to just to everybody and all the energy, and I can't express it enough. Thank you.
Perfect. And what's the website that people can get a hold of you at?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the other main part. uh, yeah, ndmdigital.com, ndmdigital.com. You can find everything there, and we have all the links to the social media, to the YouTube, Instagram. You could also find me, DJ Dimension, on Instagram as well. But ndmdigital.com is the main portal to shows you, has my music, merch, the comic book, and all the social media platforms. So, and also the portal to megamensounds.com, which takes you into the universe of the DJ Dimension and Big Will Rosario. So, uh, so it's all there.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much for getting on with me. I appreciate you taking time out of your day.
All right. Thank you too, man. I really appreciate the opportunity, and um, you know, looking forward. We can do it again whenever you're down, man. No rush, but we can do it for the peeps out there. Because I know they're gonna love
Perfect.
the story.
No, I'm excited. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Troy Podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share with your friends.